Throughout my years of living on this planet, I've experienced some pretty interesting things, okay? Some of these things were so interesting, I had to make a YouTube channel about it called Luna. I don't know if you ever heard of it. You know, this video is totally not on that channel. But anyway, there's this one thing in particular that I was thinking about today. And I still look back on this and go, what the hell happened? So let's just jump into it, because I really have no other way to start this. So today's story time takes place in 2016. Now, for the most part, that entire year was pretty cool, okay? Pretty fun. Just chilled with my friends a lot. A lot of good times came out of that year. But there was one time in particular, a few actually, but this one in particular was probably the worst thing that happened to me that year. So I was in a relationship in 2016 with this girl. We'll just call her Olivia, okay? I had been dating Olivia for about a month at this point. Not a very long relationship. Literally, I think not even a month. I think we were coming up on a month. So probably like 20 days or so, nothing crazy. And I had met her through a friend of mine, my friend Kyle. She was his sister's best friend. So like I met her at Kyle's house one day when she was hanging out with Kyle's sister. Basically, I met her through a friend. We hit it off really well, started dating. The first 2 to 3 weeks were great, nothing out of the ordinary. But then, like most of my relationships, it went to shit, okay? So one day in 2016, I am hanging out with Olivia. We were hanging out in her basement watching movies. She lived in her basement, but her parents finished it. They made it really, really nice looking, and it's pretty much just an apartment basically. It was super nice, right? And we'd hang out there most nights. And I was down there with her. And I remember in about an hour, she had to go to work. She worked really late nights at this one store. She worked the graveyard shift. So basically every night at I think 10 or 11, she would go in and then stay there all night, restocking the shelves and stuff. So she was getting ready to go in. And usually what would happen is she would go into work and then I'd go home. Or sometimes I would fall asleep and just stay the night at her house in her basement, and she'd come home the next morning when I'd wake up, and we'd hang out for a bit, right? So that was the plan on this night. She was going to go to work, and I was just going to crash in her basement. But right as she was about to go to work, we got into a fight. A pretty big verbal disagreement, I would say, okay? Now you're probably wondering, Austin, what happened? Why'd you get into an argument with her? Well, I was just sitting there on her bed, watching movies with her, like we always would, and she was scrolling Instagram. And I didn't know this, but she was on my profile scrolling my tagged photos, and she saw that a girl tagged me in a photo of one of her selfies. Now, keep in mind, I have 200,000 or 180,000 or something followers on there, so people tag me in shit all the time. It's nothing new to get tagged in random photos. Sometimes it's girl selfies, sometimes it's a car, sometimes it's someone wearing my merch, people tag me and stuff all the time. I don't know why. They just like to. And that's cool. I like it. I like looking through what people tag me in. I do it quite often. But she didn't like this. She saw that a girl tagged me in one of her selfies, and she immediately thought that I was dating this girl. And she starts basically yelling at me. She's like, "Who's this girl, huh? Do you know her? Have you dated her before? Is she your ex? You don't follow her. Why does she tag you and stuff?" I'm like, "You know that I do YouTube, right?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Then you should know. People randomly tag me and shit all the time. Look through the tags. There's a million things in there that I have nothing to do with." She goes, "Yeah, but this is a girl's selfie, and I don't see a lot of those." And I was like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes I get tagged in girls' selfies. It's not the most common thing, but when it does, I'm not surprised." And she was like, "So you just, are okay with this?" And I was like, "Yeah, who cares? They're not doing anything wrong." And then I look at the photo and I'm like, "You know what? Let me see your phone for a sec." So she hands me her phone and I click on the photo and there's 15 other people tagged. I wasn't even the only one. I'm like, "Look at this. She tagged a bunch of people. I'm not the only one. So why are you accusing me of talking to this girl?" And she was like, "You know what? I don't want to argue with you right now. I'm leaving." And she goes upstairs. She storms upstairs actually, very, very angrily, and slams the basement door. And then I hear a click sound, like she locked it. Keep in mind, guys, the basement door locked from the outside only. So she locked me down there. So I ran upstairs as fast as I could and I start pounding on the door. And I was like, "Hey, you locked me in on accident. Hey, you locked me in." Because I thought she did it on accident. Sometimes out of habit, I'll lock doors behind me. So I figured she just, shut the basement door and locked it. And I was like, "Hey, you locked me in on accident." And then I hear her laughing. I can hear her laughing in the background behind the door. And I was like, "Hey, unlock it." And she goes, Why don't you sit down there till I get home and think about what you said to me? And she leaves. This psychotic motherfucker locked me in a basement because I disagreed with her. So immediately, I start knocking on the door, right? Because, like her parents are probably home. It's late at night. They're probably upstairs in their room. They'll hear me knocking. And I'm pounding on that door. Nobody's coming. I'm yelling out like, hello, I'm locked down here. Can you guys come get me? No one at all. Keep in mind, it's like 11 at fucking night. Her parents should be home. So I keep pounding on the door, right? I guess they have the most fucking soundproof ceiling ever or something because they just couldn't hear me all the way upstairs, pounding on that door and yelling. Nobody comes and gets me. So I end up texting my girlfriend, right? And I was like, hey, can you please come unlock the basement door? I'm stuck down here. And she replies with a laughing emoji. And at this point, I had two choices. I lay down in that basement and I just accept my fate until she gets home and, lets me out herself. Or I break her fucking door down and leave myself. Now, option number 2 was a little bit on the pretty dumb side, but I want to get the fuck out of there at this point. I was not having a good time. And it was a very thin door, so I knew I could kick it down with enough tries. So I went upstairs and I picked option 2. And I started kicking that fucking door. And within like 4 kicks, a big fucking hole went right through the bottom of it and my foot went through it. And I was able to reach through the bottom of the hole and then put my arm up and unlock the door from the other side. And I let myself out. And I go into her kitchen. I grab a zebra cake out of the pantry, start eating that because your boy was a little bit on the hungry side. And then I texted her a photo of her broken door with just a laughing emoji. And then I left her house and I walked home. And the whole rest of that night, she was spamming my phone saying I owed her a door, that I was going to pay for it, that she told her parents what I did. And I just proceeded to ignore her the entire night and let her, live with the fact that she would be coming home the next morning to a broken door. And the next day rolled around and I texted her back finally and said, we're done. I'm breaking up with you. No sane person locks their boyfriend in a basement when they have a disagreement. I don't want to know what you would do next time we have a disagreement, so I'm just going to end it here. Also, why don't you tell your parents why I broke their door? And then maybe they'll understand why I did what I did. I'm not buying you a new one. Goodbye. And I blocked her. And I literally never heard from her again. Never, got a text, a call. I saw her out a couple times at, parties and clubs in my area, but never talked to her and she didn't talk to me. And that was the end of that relationship. So guys, if there's a moral to this story, it's don't lock your significant other in a basement. That's very much not okay. For many reasons. I'm sure you all understand that, though. And, yeah, that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
I be fully loaded, I be whipping foreign cars. Always stay devoted, mama knew I'd be a star. Now I'm steady flowing, feeling like I'm high as Mars. I'ma keep on going, I'ma always raise the bar. Told me I could not do it, looking at